Oh, what's up, beautiful people? Before we start this video, I'm not here to start no troubles, by the way. I just think it's really important to kind of discuss why this is important and why it potentially could be really, really dangerous. So that's what this video is about, my views. I just want to make it clear. I think there's both pros and cons, and I see where everybody's coming from and stuff like that. So it's just my perspective. I'm open for a conversation. Let's talk about it below, all about it. But yeah, I just thought I'd kind of really give my views on it. So yeah, let's get into this video. Hi guys. Okay, cool. So before even posting this video, I've already kind of put like a little snip on Instagram, and I've got hundreds of messages of people saying, "Oh, be careful about the backlash," and some people saying, "Oh, I did it," or "It's not that deep." People just want to share their testimonies, and it's true. People do want to share their testimonies, and they have every right to. This video is just me just sharing some other perspectives, just because it's important that we just have a discussion about it. I think it's important for me to share, because I think there is risks as well as testimonies. They're great, but there's also risk, and I think as Christians we shouldn't just one side of things. We should always be open, and we shouldn't be scared to have these discussions. And I don't want to upset the Christians are too strict, too judgmental, let people be committee. Because I'm still letting you be. You just have to just not watch the video. But take it in. I think I'm quite fair, but you know, who knows. But here's the video. Please be open to listen. It will really make it easier. And I not at any point would ever want to make anybody who did take part in that feel offended or feel like it was a wrong choice. No, it's your choice. You're human. But it's just important to understand the implications of spiritual things, because they're spiritual. We can't measure the damage that we do to any other person, even if we were celebrating. And you know, if you say that you're a team, do we truly celebrate together or do we celebrate separately? And you have to ask yourself that question. So yeah, that's it. Watch the video, enjoy it.
I'm never ever stopping. This beat is dropping. This money I'm whopping. Listen, it's J.O. I kill it with a cold flow. Yeah, got some money funds, they call me Kojo. Listen, it's me, I pop like it's Coco. Yeah, come to Leicester, I kill it like it's local. Yeah, I do this all day. I go to the playground and I don't play.
What's up, guys? Okay, cool. Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy, Mr. 200. Yeah, I'm a little bit nervous about this because I think I've been having a lot of chats. So this morning I had a chat with my boy about this because one of my friends did this challenge, Jesus Flip the Switch challenge. If you don't know what that is, it's basically people. You've seen the TikTok, I just flip the switch. But people put Jesus Flip the Switch challenge where they show themselves in their past life, as well as themselves in a new life, and it's great, and a lot of people are celebrating, and they're like, wow, yeah, great. However, I'm here to be honest and say I think there's a problem with it, and it's gonna come in an adverse manner maybe to some, but it's so necessary that we kind of really talk about it. Really, it's really important, and here's my views on it, really. All right. So I guess I put like a list of things together for the things I need to address. I don't think it's that deep, but just to get my clear thoughts. And the first thing is, my first worry with when I saw that was people put, for example, a lot of images of when they were smoking or drunk and all these different things, and then they put a new image of them in church or just maybe a normal image of themselves, and it made a lot of sense. A lot of Christians have said, "Oh, like." Christians are so hard and so judgmental, like why can't I just let people live? Like these people are celebrating, I'm so happy for them. And a lot of people were lost in hysteria, a lot of people were lost in the, oh my god, like this is amazing, my friend, like you're like, honestly girl, I've seen your growth, like, oh my god, like, and the man I'm like, yeah bro, like yo, you really changed and stuff like that. And it's interesting, and some might disagree as to why that is dangerous, but here's why that's dangerous. I think what you do when you do those things is you kind of put yourself into almost to a degree of self-imprisonment. What I mean by that is there's so many issues with it, really and truly. I see the pros. I get it. It's great to celebrate all these things. But Isaiah 54 talks about me having to look after my family and others, meaning I have to call things out as they are, because it's imperative that we all be honest with each other, because we are responsible for each other, because we're on the same body, right? There's a few things wrong with it because, and I'm going to try to keep this super short. There's a few things wrong with it because, for one, there's a gross problem of trying to put an image of what being saved looks like. It's tough. It's hard putting an image of what being saved looks like, because it gives almost an arrogant-esque sense of the fact that anybody who's still in that place is below you or lowly, which isn't actually very inclusive over what we say to be Christ-like, which by Christ, it was incredibly relational, which means he cares about the victim as well as the person that did the crime, right? So he would care about the person who hurt someone as well as the person who got hurt. He cares about both. So by virtue of his character, we have to be mindful about the things we do that marginalize people by our actions, and it may not seem dangerous to you, but what it does is it puts an image to what Christ looks like as a saved individual. Like, now, before, when I was smoking and drinking, now I can't do those things. Now I don't do those things anymore. It's saying to someone, if you do those things, you're kind of like, hi, you're beneath me, and it's untrue, and it's unfair to maybe give that image, and maybe it's nobody's intentions, but we have to be honest about the perceptions, super intentional, and honest about those things. And also, like I said, self-imprisonment, it's important and it's imperative we pay attention to that, because the very simple nature of it is, once people see you back in the same place you went, they will judge you. And you were the hand that orchestrated that yourself. And I say that because the walk with Christ is actually not so simple. It isn't actually such as simple as like you live in this new life and you don't fall back into sin. What you're going to do is you're going to self-imprison yourself, and you're going to internalize the sin, not externalize it, and you think that it's going to be better because you're hiding it. And it's very dangerous. I'm going to read a verse to you. Galatians 5:19. It says, the acts of the flesh are obvious: sexual immorality, impurity and debauchery, idolatry and witchcraft, hatred, discord, jealousy, fits of rage, self-ambition, dissension, factions, and envy, drunkenness, orgies, and the like. I warn you, as I did before, that those who live like this will not inherit the kingdom of God. So it says the acts of the flesh, and the flesh is used in this manner very clearly, not just to talk about external sin, but internal sin. Like, not just about the things you do, but about the things you think. So if you think that just by virtue of you internalizing your thoughts, it's going to make things better, no, that's a lot. Like, it's equally as dangerous. And pay attention to that, because if you so easily say to the world, I used to do this, now I don't do it anymore, or you give off the image that happens. What happens when you do fall back into that habit, and then you get upset when somebody says to you, I thought you were saved by grace? And it's like, well, I'm human. Because the walk with Christ, the things that come out of us are not just images we take pictures of, but they are virtues. They're by the Spirit. And let me break that down more. It says in Galatians, I will get into that, but let me break that down more. It's God didn't specifically put a picture of what Jesus looked like, by the way. We have an idea of what that looks like. Maybe you have different beliefs over Christianity, but there isn't an image there. Like, that is the Western world talking about whatever they want to talk about, but there isn't an image of Christ and what he looks like. The closest thing to images we have are of the fruits of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, kindness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control, all these different things. Now, let me go back to Galatians 5:19. It says in 20, it says idolatry and witchcraft, hatred, discord, jealousy, rage. So here's the thing is, if you posted these pictures and you think like just posting a picture of you drinking one time and now you don't drink no more, you don't smoke, you simply just solved the habit. Have you rid yourself of these different things which are very much human? Is that truly like, and here's how sin is so easy to fall into, is that you miss the mark. You could simply be driving and you get angry and you get into a rage. Idolatry and witchcraft, hatred, discord, jealousy, rage. So the problem with when you do this challenge, and it's not that deep, but it is also very deep, is that you self-imprison yourself into almost living a life that you are on edge about what people's perceptions are about you, and also the second nature of the fact that you're self-glorifying. You're saying, God did it through me, and now look at me, I'm in church, and I know that's not the intention often half of the time, but you have to ask yourself, what is it then are you trying to show? What is it that you're trying to do? And counter arguments are, a lot of people have said, yeah, but like genuinely like it's good, it's encouraging for other Christians that they can come out of the bad place they're in. It's not to shun that the place they're in. It's to say we're welcome to any walk that you're from. It's not to say that the place you're in is disgusting. We are already low by our standards. We fell, which means like you saying to the same people that you even maybe caused to go into sin, hi, I'm better than you now. It's tough, and you have to really pay attention to that. Really pay attention to that, because it's dangerous if you seemingly turn your back towards the flock that once you bred and you led. It just might look very, very kind of foolish and very dangerous. I also put, I think I've addressed stepping back. So like if you were to fall back in sin, you might end up with more hands at you, not because people wanted to judge you, but because you measured yourself and said, look, this is me, I've changed. And and you give people the ammo to say to you, hi, but I saw you doing this last week, which means you might start to then hide and internalize certain things. Then I was also thinking as well, what about the Christians who look differently but still in their walk? Let me give you this example, and I love this example. It says, if a prostitute was in prostitution for 10 years and she accepted Jesus into her life, and then she goes into prostitution for 5 years, does that make her any less a Christian than somebody who's always in church? Well, no, it doesn't. And maybe that might be against popular belief, but here's where you need to pay attention, is she was in it, she gave her life to Christ, and she got to an end of something, right? But in the middle of that walk, what if someone met her and they said, and maybe she put, I don't do prostitution no more, but she fell into a habit, or she fell into something that might have been something that she had to do. Who knows the circumstances? Some people become criminals by virtue of what their morals lie, where they have to provide for their daughter at home, that they need to steal to get that because they don't have resources. We don't know people's circumstances, right? But if she had now, let's say this prostitute had said, yeah, like I posted a picture, it's like, I don't do this no more, that was me before, but then she falls back into the very flesh that is so easily, it's just so easy to sin. It's like it's so easy to fall in this world, and you fall into that. What then do you expect people to say? And this is not to say you can't celebrate your life and your victories with Christ, but you have to be mindful in how you do it. You have to be very, very, very representative of the brand that you are and who you are and who you're trying to look like. Because if you're trying to create an image of what it looks like to be a Christian, then it often sometimes isn't always with your hands up in church. And if it says we should spread the gospel, then shouldn't all your pictures be outside of church? I don't know. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, it raises questions, and it starts to create an illusion of what it should look like to be Christian. And here's the thing, is that you get lost in hysteria. A lot of people on the TL were super excited. Oh my God, I'm gonna cry. My friend, this girl, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. Oh my God, this is making me emotional. What is making you emotional? I think it's a beautiful thing that souls are won for Christ. However, you have to ask yourself this question. And what is it that you're fascinated about? Because here's the truth about the Christian walk, is that the day you gave your life to Christ, it was like, yeah, I'm going to do this. And then you come back home, and then the same habits bite you. And this is why the renewing of the mind comes in, because you also have habits. Habits are hard to die. No matter how Christian you've now become, you're going to have to walk with God, and you're going to have to be disciplined and self-control. You have to seek guidance to purge your flesh, then also purge your mind from the very things that have you in chains. So it's not so simple. So be careful when you do those things, like to those who took part in this challenge, because you imprison yourself to having to now look like the image you gave. And I really believe that God gave us these images to describe this image rather than drawing a picture, because we will never look like a picture, right? But we can inhabit the fruit of the Spirit that the Spirit gives us. We can inhabit these qualities through things that are transferable, that you do not have to look like you. If you're shaped like a microwave and you're shaped like a toaster, it doesn't mean that you're excluded from the access to look like Him. Does that make sense? And I think it's important that we don't fall into the habit to exclude others. And because someone raised an important point, it says, what if some of you are celebrating and doing the things that you were in, right? You're showing that you're out of it now. But what about the people who are still in it? What about the people who are looking on to you for leadership, and now they look to you like, right, you're against me, or damn, am I below you? You don't know what these people think, and we are equally as responsible for ourselves and those people who are the end of our perceptions, who get affected by our decisions. And let me go to Romans 8:28. It says, 20 to 30. Not verse 29 specifically. For those, while He foreknew, He also predestined to be conformed to the image of Christ. So that's where we see, like God predestined us to be like His sons. He wants us to be conformed to the image of Christ. Then you have in Colossians 1 verse 15 to 16, where it actually then talks about the image of, like Christ is the image of God. So what we are, the image that we should be aiming to look like isn't a physical image as we know it. Isn't a picture, isn't like framed a specific way, it doesn't look a specific way. It comes in all different shapes and sizes, but it's also an image of our image of Christ is the image of God, and we have to look the same. Now, if you try to look exactly like your dad and exactly like your granddad, you find that there's always a disparity, right? Even twins don't look the same. So if God had put an image towards something, said this is the only way you can get to heaven is only by looking exactly like this hand, then it means that everybody misses out who doesn't, or even might not have the genetical makeup, the genetical makeup to assimilate those characteristics that maybe even gives them that image. Now, you have to be mindful as Christians when we portray those images, because that's what we say. We say, hi, you have to look like this, before it's okay, before your problems are gone. And it's not to say that I know you inferred these things, but these things are still inferred, that you negate the reality of what the walk looks like when you just simply take a picture of one side of what the walk looks like. Take a picture of the days that you fell back into masturbation. Take a picture of the days where you fell back into your issues. Why don't you share those pictures? But we only shared a picture of the days that we look cute on camera, where we got caught slipping in church. And you've got to be mindful about those things, because it negates and it's dangerous for those who are still in the same position that they're at, the same circumstance, but their hearts are in a different place. That every time we meet every human, we don't know if we're going this way or that way. And some of us are rising away from our sin, and some of us are falling into our sin. And some of you, realistically, who took these pictures might just be on your way down back into the same sin that you think you're coming out of. You have to pay attention, and it's that, where is your heart truly set? Galatians 19 really says it, and you have to check yourself. Check yourself. Witchcraft, hatred, discord, jealousy, all these things are simple things to get. So you can simply get them from reading the tweet. Jealousy and rage, something gets you angry. Ask yourself if you're rid of from those things, because those are the things that show us what image we're meant to look like. Is that we are, by virtue of how it renews us. And it says here, by virtue of it says Galatians 5:22, but the fruits of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such things there is no law. And you go to, so when you look at these things, when we start to assimilate these characters, when we start to look like Christ, is by virtue of these things inside, where the Spirit provides, and where the Spirit provides into you. You don't get those things just by being a Christian. By the way, you get those things by creating a relationship with God. Like the fruits of the Spirit come from the Spirit, not by the title Christian. It's by the fruits and your relation with the fruits of the Spirit, and by virtue of those things is why you transform into the things you start to walk into. But be careful not to bind yourself in a contract of image, because when the image changes, everybody's asking questions. Whereas you be honest, and you have to be very mindful about what you say, but you be honest about your walk with Christ. You don't just only glorify the nice bits, you give glory to God about the whole walk and what it really looks like. Because remember, it's about God, and you're self-glorifying every time you simply try to take a picture of what you looked like before. And you smoking a zoot last week, some of you are still smoking the same zoot, but you're doing it now in your bedroom before, rather than in parties. Don't fool yourselves, because God still sees you. So that's the things you got to be mindful of. My thoughts are super everywhere, and I'm sorry guys, but that's kind of like some stuff on my heart. I felt like I really had to speak about it, because it's important that we care about the people that were where we once were, and we don't shun them out, nor do we even so carelessly do that by our actions. And you have to be so mindful about that. Have to be so incredibly mindful about that. It's so dangerous if we don't pay attention to those things. I don't know, I may have missed some stuff. I'm happy to talk more, but I hope I didn't offend anybody. That this literally as pure the thoughts in my heart. It's important that we understand these things and be careful as Christians, and now these days it feels more like Christians are trying to argue with each other, because we're now more inspired by bringing Christians from other churches than actually saving souls. And the souls don't always look like perfect people. They're people who are still in the sin, just like the rest of us who are still walking with God, that we still fight the afflictions. And maybe you're not sinning or smoking weed no more, but maybe in your heart you're still desiring those things. Question yourself. Look inside before trying to say to people, hi, this is what I look like outside, because God doesn't measure the way we measure. And if we try to show the word by our measures, we negate the man who controls time, who has a different metric. We measure ourselves in a way that doesn't match up to his measurements, who are actually more true, because he measures and creates us, and we are of his image. So if you say that, yeah, this is how I look, simply, you might be unfortunate that when God then looks at you, he says, hi, you don't look like me. That might hurt you. That's crazy. But yeah, I hope I didn't offend anybody. If you didn't get offended, here's my point. We should be quick to listen. But I hope you guys are well, and thank you guys for listening, watching this long video. I hope I kept it short. I don't know how long this video is, but yeah, make sure you subscribe. If you want me to talk more about these things, let me know in the comments below. Show me your thoughts and views, and I honestly just want to create an open dialogue, because I think it's important to talk about these things. Not to say that you can't share your glories, but be mindful about the impact of frivolousness, of hysteria. You cannot ride this journey with Christ through hysteria, because it does get hard. Not enough people talk about the plateau where you're waiting for a miracle, and walking with God isn't about waiting for miracles. It's about building a relationship with Him, because you know, every day that you're with a loved one isn't just about all they do for you. It's about knowing who they are, and you know their heart. So yeah, I think we need to have more discussions about what it really looks like a day in and day out of being a Christian, rather than being focused too much about showing where we are as a Christian, because truly we don't measure that. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Have a nice day. Catch you guys later.